future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Katherine Gray.
Hi, welcome to Live, Love, Thrive Women's Empowerment Hour, brought to you by 360karma.com. Happy to have you with us today. As you know, every week we have amazing women, and next week I just wanted to let you know we're going to have Fox News and Entertainment reporter Michelle Polino and the fabulous indie filmmaker Sonia Sebastian, straight from Spain here in LA, with us next Wednesday. So if you don't want to miss any episodes, please subscribe to us on YouTube. This week, we have two amazing ladies. We have the star of 50 Shades of Oy Vey, Shelley Fisher, is with us today. And then later in the show, we're going to have Marie Kordus, who is the author of Idea Poetry, and also the art director for a cool cult film called Rock and Roll High School. So we're going to talk to Marie later in the show. First up, please welcome Shelley Fisher. Hi, Shelly. How are you?
I'm great, Catherine. I'm so happy to be here today on Live, Love, Thrive.
Thank you. Well, I have seen your show, 50 Shades of Oy Vey, and it is fun. And I thought, what a fun topic to have on this week of Passover.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
The show is, the whole name of the show is really The Hebrew Hillbilly.
Right.
50 Shades of Oy Vey.
I
Because
love
I am
that.
the Hebrew Hillbilly.
Yes, you are, because you grew up as a Jewish person in the South.
You are
right?
so smart. That is correct.
I can imagine, I've lived in Miami, New York, LA, but I have to say, I think you were in the minority in the South, yes?
Totally.
Yeah. You told me it was kind of tough growing up because, one of a few kids that were Jewish in the school, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
You did your homework.
Yeah.
And in fact, my first grade teacher, Nasty Miss Asty, actually called me a Hebrew Hillbilly.
And that's where you got it.
That's right. I thought it was pretty cute.
Yeah.
My mama didn't. Okay.
Yeah. So what happened back then that your mom didn't like actually end up being part of your comedic act today?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. We turned poison into medicine.
That's it. I love that.
Thank
Lemons
you.
into lemonade, and
All that hokey stuff. But it's called that showbiz, y'all. That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
But it's a fun show. It tells the story of your life, which is really interesting. As really, if you sit down and talk to anybody, everybody has an interesting story to tell, which is why we do this show.
That's right.
And your story, I know, began in the South in what city?
Memphis.
Memphis, of course. Memphis, where my friend Jerry Ford is from. And that's why he's sitting in the green room today. Hi, Jerry.
Oh, yeah. I just met him. I love him.
Your Tennessee friend.
That's right. He's from Dyersburg.
That's
I'm
right.
from Memphis. Home of the blues.
Yeah.
Birthplace of rock and roll.
Yeah.
Capital of barbecue and Southern hospitality.
That's right. And
Thank
I know you even met Elvis living there, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Catherine, on many occasions, because actually my mama, when my daddy died, and he was an attorney at law and a concert violinist, married another violinist because she liked to fiddle around, I suppose. And my stepdaddy, Nate, he did own many of the theaters in which Elvis had his midnight movie parties with the Memphis Mafia, and I got to go.
And that's where Elvis was. That's who the Memphis Mafia was.
But thank you. I thought everybody knew that.
Yeah.
Elvis had a whole group of friends.
Yeah.
That he called the Elvi.
Yeah.
Because they all dressed up like him.
Yeah.
It was really an amazing time of life, and it was an amazing experience for me because I was really, really young when in the middle of the night my mama came home and she said, "Shelley, Elvis is at the Idlewild." That's one of the names of the theaters that my stepdaddy owned. Do you want to go? So I was really young, but I tried to look sophisticated, and I put on a padded bra. And
Somehow I don't see you doing the sophisticated thing, but if you say so.
I tried to look grown up, and it was in my phase where I was trying to look like Elvis.
Yeah.
I called myself Shelvis. That's true, Queen of Rock and Roll. And I met Elvis very early on. I suppose I went to 2, 3, or 4 of his midnight movie parties.
Yeah.
And then I was fortunate enough to fly with him from Memphis to Los Angeles on one portentous portentous flight. That was fantastic.
I bet.
It sure was.
I'm not asking about that Mile High Club thing.
No, well, I'm not. No, you know what? I liked him a lot, but I could not get that close to a man who wore more makeup than me. And I ain't lying. That is the truth.
Is it?
It is the truth.
Little tidbits of knowledge on Live, Love, Thrive.
That's the truth. And anybody that knows him knows that Elvis Presley wore a lot of makeup.
Right.
But he looked beautiful. He was very different.
Now, listen, with everything that's going on in the world today, I don't want to downplay the fact that you were talking about how tough it was to grow up Jewish in the South, because we think that these days have gone away. And you and I were talking about not only was it, prejudice toward Jews, but also gays and blacks. And, it was
That's
very
right.
contentious, especially in the South when you were growing up.
Absolutely.
And, I thought in this day and age we kind of had surpassed that. At least that's what I was thinking, living here in Los Angeles and all. But in this past year, it's so sad to see it raise its head again, and all this anti-Semitism, and it's very sad. And what do you make of that? Because I know you're such a happy person that seems to, make things, you find humor in the worst of situations, which is a beautiful gift.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so when you do tell your story, it's with such humor and so fun. That's what I love about the show. But underneath all that, this is a serious issue, and
That's right.
Just wondering how you feel about how that is in today's world.
Well, thank you. That's always great questions,
Yeah.
as you do ask. I am learning it, and I love your glasses, by the way. But my mama, Frida,
Yeah.
was truly my role model in my life.
Yeah.
And my mama had an amazing expression, and she said, Shelley, there's a thin veneer of civilization. Unfortunately, tolerance has to be learned.
Right.
And it's like certain foods, it has to be acquired. I don't know why it's like that, but it is like that. I learned that very early on in Memphis, Tennessee.
Right.
There wasn't just discrimination against Jews. Blacks really had a terrible experience in Memphis. And, well, gay people didn't exist. So,
Right.
okay, I'm
Right.
sorry to say that, but
Yeah.
that's the way that it was. I think
Right.
that people will always find a way to love, live, and thrive.
Right.
And some people will always find a way to hate. I do think that what you're doing with your show, with education and understanding and kind of an edutainment format really does help. But unfortunately, there's some things that will always exist.
Right. And what you're saying is true, whether you're an entertainer, an author, an inventor, a scientist, we've had all on here. Everybody is a human being that wants to live, love, and thrive. And,
That's right.
And we are here to perpetuate that. Everybody deserves that, no matter where they're from, no matter what ethnicity, no matter what economic background. Everybody should have that opportunity. And we need to perpetuate that positivity of helping each other rather
Absolutely.
than going against each other. Just really no good comes out of the going against each other. It just makes no sense whatsoever.
It makes no sense, but
Yeah.
I think that I know that you believe in karma,
Yeah.
cause and effect. And according to my knowledge, Buddhism says we can only achieve world peace one individual at a time.
Right.
Because there's no way that I'm going to be able to legislate, or even the government, how you really feel. But you can legislate behavior.
Right.
So,
and I always say I want to empower one woman at a time
That's
by
all we can do.
telling stories of women who have taken life in their hands and done their dreams, like what you've done.
Thank
you know.
you.
And I know it's everybody's had a challenging road. They've all had obstacles, but here you are later in life doing your show.
Not that late, honey. Oh, it's not that late. I'm still hot. It comes in flashes now. That's my closing song. Okay.
Right. And, doing what you love. And I think, all of us should be inspired by that. I've had people on in their 80s and 90s, and it's never too late for any of us to live our dream.
That's true.
And I know yours has always been singing and entertaining and comedy and all of these things
That's
that
right.
you're
Thank
doing
you.
now with your show, which is at the Santa Monica Playhouse.
That's right. Right
which
now,
is
my next
very
show.
prestigious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, my next show, and I sure do hope you'll come to see me and all your zillions of viewers. It is Sunday evening, 6:30 p.m., April 23rd. And Catherine, we're having an awesome April party afterwards.
Yeah.
And we're featuring Moscow Mules. I have some other sponsors.
Yeah.
I got the people from Frozen Fruit Company, which is healthy fruit, desserts, no dairy, and no sugar added.
Oh, boy, we're all into that now, aren't we?
We have Melissa Pekin, and she's a senior beauty consultant from
Yeah.
Beauty Counter, which is all natural, non-toxic cosmetics.
I always
and
say-
you get me.
Hey, what could be better than that? They get to meet you in person.
That's right.
And you are very special. And
Thank you.
You have a good message in your play, in your one-woman show, and you just show how tenacity wins. And
I'm still here.
yeah, there you go, girl. And so, tell me a little bit about growing up there in the South. You were in Tennessee,
Memphis.
You told me about this little encounter with your little friend Cooter Carter.
Boy, you're good.
Who could forget that
You're
name?
good. Well, anyhow, I was in 4th grade, and I thought I was really good friends, maybe even boyfriend and girlfriend with this guy who sat behind me fortuitously all the time, named Cooter Carter. And then one day we were having a test, and he's tapping me on the back, and he says, "Move your paper." And I didn't like the tone of this,
Yeah.
so I moved my paper further away from him.
Because you didn't want him to cheat.
Of course not.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Move your paper." And I moved it again. He says, "Damn dirty Jew."
Oh my God! Wow.
It was not good for him that day.
Yeah.
No, because I went out. We had recess pretty soon after
Right,
that.
right.
And I was not even a tomboy or anything like that.
Right.
But I think there's a visceral,
Right.
primal urge
Right.
for justice.
Right.
When you feel you've been wronged, no matter who you are.
Right. So you beat him up.
Well, I did. I ran after him, and I actually sat on his neck, and I proceeded to attempt to
I
strangle him.
hope he's listening today.
And, well, I actually ran into him. That's a good story. Years later. At any rate, I tried to strangle him. A teacher came over, and we were promptly marched to the office, but I explained my story, and
Right. He probably never called anybody that again.
I don't
Let's
know.
hope not.
I don't know, but somebody introduced me to him maybe 20 years ago.
Right.
He was trying to run for city council.
Oh my.
And he did not know who I was. And he says, "Well, you're a pretty girl. Can I take you out?"
Oh.
And I go, "You know what? I don't want to say anything right now, but here's my number."
Yeah.
Well, so he calls me up. And
You
you
told
know,
him the story?
That's right. And I feel...
Well, he was in 4th grade. I guess he gets a little pass, as long as he's evolved.
No, I don't think so. I'm sorry to have
Oh.
to say that.
Oh, my.
But I think that there's that level
yeah.
of visceral hatred at a
Yeah.
young age was learned.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
So our kids learn it, and then it stays with them. So they can learn it or they can unlearn it. It's all how the parents teach them. Yeah, it
wasn't
does
in-
pass down through
I mean,
generations.
I certainly appreciate. He apologized. I said I really do appreciate your apology.
Yeah.
And I hope that you've evolved, just to use your language. But I said I'd be uncomfortable to go out with you.
Right, right.
And I don't think you're
blame
cute
you.
anyway. You still just look like a redneck to me. Okay.
So I know your dad died when you were 12.
That's right, but you're good.
Yeah, that must have been like really just devastating for a 12-year-old girl. And I do hear this story with a lot of my guests. I'm always so surprised how many people have lost parents at such a young age, and how it really impacts their life. And I know your dad was like a really great man. Not only was he an
Thank you.
attorney,
Thank
but you
you.
said he actually created the Memphis
Symphony Orchestra. He was a
Symphony
co-founder.
Orchestra that ended up performing with Elvis and
Yes, that's
all of these
correct.
great people. Who else? I know some other ones you mentioned.
Possibly. I'm not for sure, but I know Neil Diamond for
Right,
sure.
Neil Diamond.
And
Yeah.
possibly Aretha Franklin. They played behind many, many great artists on many of the Memphis Sound records.
Right.
That were really pervasive and popular in the 70s.
Right. So he started that, and it still exists today.
He was a co-founder.
Co-founder. Yeah.
And he actually played first string violin with that symphony until he died. And this was such a great image for me.
How do you think that impacted your life to lose your dad? Do you think, did it make you look at life differently? And if so, in what way? Or did you get something from that made you stronger, that helped you be the person you are? You know, usually something good comes out of these bad things that happen. It always seems that whatever challenges we have actually sometimes propel us in a positive direction, if that makes sense.
It's a great question, and to you and to people out there, the answer is I don't know.
I think it made you an independent woman.
Well, I recreate his death in my show, The Hebrew Hillbilly, every performance, and I'm devastated.
Every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, without even consciously thinking about it, I go, I like to leave the stage right now. And I go, to myself, what's going on with you? And I go, oh my God, my daddy dies next. You never get over it. I'm sure that nobody out here has
if you ever lost a parent,
No.
you never do get over it.
No.
And when you think about that time in your life, it brings it all back up for you again. That never goes away. Yeah.
What I do think it does, it makes you find something that you love, that you excel at. In my case, I love to perform and sing.
Right.
And when it was bad enough that my mama, that my daddy died when I was 12 and he was just 45.
Right.
But my mama got remarried basically within a year.
Wow.
And even though the man she married was the South's foremost orchestra leader and a violinist, because I guess she liked to fiddle around, he wasn't my daddy.
Right, got it.
And it wasn't okay
Yeah.
that he married my mama and slept in my daddy's bed.
Right.
And
Yeah, as a child, that's hard to process.
impossible.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I had something
Yeah.
I liked to do,
Right.
which was to create songs.
And thank goodness your
perform.
stepdad was in that genre too, so that was at least
He's
helpful,
a
right?
really sweet man.
Yeah.
And he did give me some great advice to get out of showbiz.
I could see you took that advice.
As soon as possible. But he did say to me, he said, Shelley, I've been trying to think about what your biggest talent is. He says, and you know what? You have something called true glamour. And he said, don't you lose it out there in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
So I know you went off to college, to Boston University, and
You are good.
did some summers in Harvard.
That
So
is-
you're a smart chick.
That is correct. Thank you. Just because I look like this don't mean I'm dumb.
And I can say you're a powerhouse for sure in
Thank you.
every way.
Thank you.
I mean, and
Takes one to know one.
Yeah, well, and you create your own show, your own one-woman show that's. I mean, that takes a lot of doing. I'm sure you do the marketing and create it and everything.
That's right.
So, and you just have a new album out too, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
It's
Tell me the
called
name of that.
Rockin' in Memphis.
Rockin' in Memphis. I think that sounds like fun. That must be a fun album.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. A lot of people like it. I do
Yeah.
get airplay coast to coast many places, especially I'm proud that you can hear me on Southwest Airlines coast to coast. So that
Oh my
shows that
gosh,
I'm
that's so cool.
Not totally a fly by night. And it's very upbeat, but it
Yeah.
also has some very tender songs.
Yeah, I was
So-
just flying this past week and on Virgin, as a matter of fact, and I see that they put a lot of up and coming artists. So that's really cool. So
Thank
if
you.
you're flying on Southwest Airlines, you can go to the listening portion and
It should
hear your
be.
music.
I hope so.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
great.
on there. Okay.
That's awesome, and that's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah.
Well, you've made a lot of achievements. We could go on and on. Any woman who wants to do something has
Yeah.
literally got to take the bull by the horns. In my case, I'm a Taurus.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to take the bull
Yeah.
by the horns because I'm a bull. When's your birthday?
Sagittarius. Yeah.
So December.
So I'm a lot of fun.
Sagittarius.
I like to have a lot of fun. That's what I should
Sagittarius.
say.
When's your birthday? Am I allowed to
December
ask you?
13th. Yep.
So we
You
have
can't
a lot-
ask me what year though.
Well, forget that. I'm May 13th, so we are bonded by the 13th.
There you go. So after you went to college, you went out. You decided to hit LA, and make
San
a go of it,
Francisco, really,
right?
San Francisco.
San
That's my
Francisco,
first-
then L.A.
That's correct.
Gotcha. And you did some stuff in Berkeley, was it? Or yeah, right?
I taught school.
Taught school in Berkeley,
Berkeley,
and said,
California.
not for me.
No,
Not
they told
for
me
me.
in teacher training it was a compliment if a kid called you mother.
Yeah.
I found out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Mothers, only half the word.
Yeah.
It was not for me.
Yeah,
I
not
love
for
kids.
you. However, you
Yes.
ended up having a daughter, and this happened to, I know, be one of the brightest lights in your life was having your daughter.
That's correct,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
many people come out to Los Angeles to pursue fame and fortune. In my case, I got knocked up, but that worked out well for me. Just like you were talking about turning poison into medicine, because I found purpose beyond the Hollywood sign,
Right.
and having my beautiful daughter Melissa.
Cool. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that, does it?
She's the best. She always corrects me. I just love it.
Well, so as far as your show goes, where would you like to take it, and what's your next steps with this?
Thank you. Well, I have a tour planned nationally that's in the
great.
works. We're planning to go in
Yeah.
September to London,
my
which I
gosh.
can't give the theater right now.
Right, that would be
And
cool.
We're going back to Memphis in October, and we're negotiating with the theater for New York, and we are available for weddings, bar mitzvahs.
Yeah.
We love to perform this show. Many people tell me it inspires them to never give up their dreams, and I call it my Triple D celebration of diversity, dreams, and determination to never give up. Catherine, I have 15 original songs inspired by the blues and rock and roll of Memphis, Tennessee. Some of them inspired by Elvis, and they're all written by myself and two different co-writers. They're both famous. One is Kenny Hirsch, and the other is Harold Payne. And I think that people would love it. I've been around for more than 4 years, and I've packed every house, and this is not going to be any different.
That's cool. And didn't you have like a disco hit?
I did. Well, actually, I had sort of two disco hits.
Yeah.
I recorded the disco theme of Wonder Woman, which actually sold more than 250,000 records, and I never got a dime because I think that we all know
Yeah.
in showbiz there's only two categories, star and starve.
Right.
And then I had another disco hit that I wrote
Yeah.
for Rick Dees, who had a song called Disco Duck. I wrote Disco-rilla. It's in collector's bins everywhere. Vinyl's coming back, y'all. Okay.
Well, they cannot miss your show. I'm so happy that we had you on today.
Thank you.
You are just a ball of joy, and the show is fun. It's funny. People should catch it at the Santa Monica Playhouse. It's called 50 Shades of Oy Vey.
The Hebrew
Hillbilly.
50 Shades of Oy Vey.
Yeah. And Hebrew Hillbilly you are. Very unique, and I like that. I like women who are doing something trailblazing and unique, and also doing it later in life. It's never too late to live your dream and bring the joy. So
It ain't later compared to God, and they can find out more at HebrewHillbilly.com.
Absolutely. We have that up on the screen. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you so much for having me.
Okay,
I sure
babe.
appreciate it.
All right. And we will be right back with Marie Kordus. Stay tuned.
The Live, Love, Thrive radio show is produced by 360karma.com. Are you a 360 Karma woman? If so, spread the word. Be sure to follow us on social media at 360 Karma Women on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please like us and share us with family and friends. This is the year of the woman, and we are stronger together. The Live, Love, Thrive program is brought to you in part by Honda of downtown Los Angeles, supporting the equality and empowerment of women.
back with author Marie Kordus. Hi, Marie. How are you?
Good, Catherine. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm
Good.
great. I'm
Good.
great. It's a beautiful day in Los Angeles.
Yes, it is.
Life is good.
Yes.
So you have had many incarnations. I know we connected through the Live, Love, Thrive conference. I know
Correct.
you attended. Thank
Yes.
you for being there. And it was a lot of fun, right?
It was. Thank you for putting it on.
You
Yeah,
bet. You
yeah.
bet. We did that coming days off the election, and it seemed like everybody kind of needed a big pick me up, and it was great to gather with so many like-minded women and
Absolutely. Yeah.
get our mojo back. So I'm glad that we met through that.
Yeah, me too.
Also, you and I have a similar background. We have a media background. I know I was in cable television advertising. You were in TV and radio, which is always interesting to get to talk to someone who has a similar background, just because we both know what a great ride it was. It was like Mad Men in the
Absolutely.
Mad Women of the 80s, you know? It was
Yeah,
fun, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's certainly changed a lot now, but back when we were doing
Yes,
it was a lot
has
of fun.
changed. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We had a good. We won't give all our secrets away.
Right.
But you had many incarnations, as most of us have by this time, and so you actually wanted to study to be an art director, right? So you went to school for that.
Right. I actually went to school. I studied fine arts,
Yeah.
painting, sculpting, jewelry making.
Yeah.
And
you were born in Wisconsin?
was
it?
born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you went to school where to study this?
Cardinal Stritch College, and that's it's now Cardinal Stritch University, but that's in Milwaukee.
So you came out to LA with high hopes of being an art director, which you actually did manifest.
I did.
Yeah,
I did actually. It's a strange story in that when you're a fine arts major in school, people start asking you questions like, "Well, so what are you going to do when you get out of school? You think somebody's going to hire you to sculpt a rock? It'll sit in front of a museum."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, gee, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was a great education.
And you can't help that anyway, because like if it's your passion,
Yes.
like you want to do your passion. Like, isn't that why we were given these gifts, right?
Right.
So I can see
Absolutely.
your
Yeah.
tenacity.
Yeah,
was for a good reason.
Ultimately, though, I was managing 3 movie theaters while I was in college as a full-time job, and I used to watch the credits roll, and I saw art director, and I just said, being young and naive, I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move to Los Angeles.
Well,
and
not so
gonna
naive.
be
You
an
did
art
it.
director. Yeah, I did. And the day after
Yeah.
college, I packed up everything that could fit in the car and just drove out here.
I love that. I love that
Yeah.
tenacity. So you came out here, and let's tell the audience like how you actually did get to do art directing. I know you worked your way up and ended up doing like this really popular cult film called Rock and Roll High School. And so that must have been fun.
It was a lot of fun, but it was an interesting ride, thinking
Right.
that, okay, I'm going to come out here, I'm just going to start calling Paramount and Universal and set up appointments and tell them I want to be an art director.
Right. Isn't that the greatest thing, though, about being naive?
Yes, that is.
I mean, I have
You're
really
just fearless.
actually accomplished a lot in especially my younger days, just out of naivete.
Right.
Not if you don't know, then you're fearless.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
You
I
don't
love
know.
that you just like knocked on the doors of the studios, but look what came of it. You actually
Yeah.
got to do some art directing.
It started out as
Yeah.
as an assistant on a couple of films, and then I art directed Rock and Roll High School, which is today still very well known as a cult film.
That's cool.
Featuring the Ramones, the
Right.
band.
And then you were telling me you also did a film that was directed by Max Baer, who oddly enough was on the Beverly Hillbillies. I mean, apparently hillbillies are a theme for today's show. Who knew?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
Max Baer.
Yeah.
He was. It was called Hometown USA. It also starred Brian Kerwin, but it's one of those films that, like a low budget film that never really made it big. But
Right.
It's still part of my past, part of my resume, and it was a great experience.
People who aren't from Hollywood have no idea how many of those movies are made.
Yeah.
Way more than they actually see on the big screen.
Absolutely.
Like
There's-
thousands upon thousands.
Yeah.
I mean, just that never really see the light of day. And so much work goes into them.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them are really great, too. And people never get to see them. It's a shame. And
Yeah.
look what makes it to some of the big screen. Who can figure who green lights that stuff? But
Right, yeah.
but how fun that you got to do it. So then your next incarnation was doing a talent. You were a talent agent,
right?
Which
right.
kind of made sense. Okay, it wasn't. I know you were working like 18-hour days and making $200 a week doing production, so I could see why you wanted to move over to something different.
Right.
Yeah,
I just didn't see myself also working my way up, being part of a big studio environment and being in the union.
Yeah.
But I did meet a lot of actors, and they all complained about one thing. They had something in common. They all complained about their agent. And I'm 23 now and thinking, hey, I could do that. I could be a talent agent.
Yeah. There again, that naivete paid off.
Exactly. Yeah. So just align myself with a small talent agency. I was a talent agent.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. You just picked whatever you wanted to do and did it.
Yeah, well, trying different things.
And that's the message here, too, that I want people to realize if they're young or even if they're later in life, that there is no age limit, time limit on picking what you want to do and going for it. And you're a perfect example of that. Like, you just pick what you want to do and you go for it. So the talent agents thing, what was was that the story you told me about meeting?
Well, I forced myself
parking lot story?
Yeah, the parking lot story.
Yeah, the parking lot story.
So what happened is I was managing the career of Mary Warnoff, who was a cult film star, and she was also in Rock and Roll High School. That's where I met her. So when I transferred over to be a talent agent, she came with me, and I'm thinking, wow, to me she's, and she is. She's a well-known star, and I'm thinking I'm a new talent agency and new talent agent at 23. So I felt very strongly about a movie that John Peters was producing at the time, and I couldn't get his attention. I couldn't get the casting director to get Mary an interview. So I saw, this was back in the day when you could easily get on the studio lots. So I saw where he parked his car. There's one of those, those cement blocks that says John Peters.
Yeah.
So one morning,
there's a dead giveaway.
Yeah. One morning, I just sat there. I was sitting there on that little cement block and waited for him to come in. Sure enough, he drives in. He can't park in a space with me sitting there. And so he gets out of his car, and I jump up and I say, oh, I've this movie that you're producing. I didn't even introduce myself. This movie you're producing, I've got the perfect actress for the lead role. You've absolutely got to see her. And he pushed me aside.
Oh, my gosh.
So I ran after him, and I grabbed his hand, and I had a picture and resume in my hand of Mary, and I shoved it in his hand. And I said, you'll be missing out if you don't meet her.
Yeah.
And he pushed me away again and slammed the door in my face. And I'm thinking, wow, who does this kind of stuff? I mean, what did I just do?
And I'm thinking the same thing about what you did.
Yeah.
But good for you.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm thinking about myself. What did I do? What did I just do? I didn't want to tell anybody. Of course, Mary was thrilled.
Yeah.
But a couple days later, the phone rings.
I love this.
I get a phone call from the casting director. They want to set up an interview to see Mary for
That's unbelievable.
the role.
I love that story.
Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I can see why you're able to achieve whatever you put your mind to, because you are like really tenacious. That's the word that comes to mind when I think of you, Marie.
You just have to believe, though. I mean, fortunately, I was right.
Yeah,
she was. She was worth the interview.
That's cool.
So,
and then you started a new career after this, which was in the media sales that we were talking about. And media sales back in that time of the 80s, 90s was booming. I mean, we really did well, right? I mean, it was a great time to be in television and radio. And I know you became a sales manager. And I love that this is where it led to the book that you've made today.
Right.
You used to sketch like inspiring sketches and with some verbiage that would inspire people on your team, and ended up using this information to put into books. But initially you did it, you said, like as a holiday, like once a year thing,
it
and
was
then
like
it
was like a gift. I mean, here I was being a sales manager. I have this art background, and I finally found a way to kind
mesh
of marry the two together.
I love that. That's so creative.
So I found, salespeople naturally they need a lot of
motivation,
because it's a tough job. It's a great job, but it's also it's hard work.
Yeah.
So I started creating what I call these they were one-sided cards, and they were all very inspirational. They were hand-drawn, all black and white. And I always tried to mirror the essence of whatever was happening at the time.
Right.
And I would give them as gifts to the salespeople
Right.
at the end of the year. And interesting things started to happen. I started to see, and they showed me and told me that they framed them as wall art or desktop prints to look at during times of personal struggle.
Wow.
So this encouraged
These
me.
are them. What are some of the sayings on them? Because I know we're showing them on the screen.
Yes.
But
One is the adventure begins with you. One is nothing happens until something moves. One is just called believe, focus.
now let's talk about this one. Nothing happens until something moves. I love that because I really believe in that. Like with the energy of the universe, people will say, "Oh, I'm stuck."
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, you're stuck until you do something that makes that energy move, right?
Right.
So I like that one in particular. Like everything around us is energy. And when we take that action, right?
Yeah.
It starts the momentum of whatever it is we're desiring to do, like become an agent or become an art director.
Yeah.
You took those steps and it started the motion of the energy going on around us. And that motion propels more
Exactly.
motion forward.
Yeah,
And I love that.
Exactly. You know, you start to, once you commit by taking action, or just you making a commitment of your own will and saying, I'm going to do this, and in 6 months I'm going to have this done.
Yeah.
Interesting things start to happen. It's
Yeah.
like a synchronicity.
Right.
It starts to happen. You start noticing magazine articles, TV and radio shows.
Right.
That. You know, there's just signs that push you to tell you that
Or someone
you're
will
in
say,
the right direction.
call this person,
Yes.
or,
Yeah,
let me
exactly.
introduce you to this person. Yeah, it kind of all just falls into place, but not until we put our focus and have that clarity of, well, what is it we're trying to achieve? And then that focus of doing it and then taking that action toward it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see your program is all about that. I love this one too, persist, consistently persist. I kept saying tenacity for you, but I would also say persistence, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. That happens to be my personal favorite because, you know, some people will say, you know, attitude is everything. I say attitude is almost everything. Persistence is everything.
Right.
Sticking with it in the face of obstacles because things are going to happen.
Right, because people they give up when things aren't easy.
Right.
Like, oh, here's an obstacle. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Well, then I'll just stop. Instead of saying, let me learn how to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
How do we go around here? It's just, it might be a setback, but it's only a minor setback.
Right.
You can't just drop the project.
Right. So when you went to create your book, you'd never created a book before, much like me, you know? Right?
Yeah.
And you could have said, well, I don't know how to create a book, so forget it. But you figured it out.
Absolutely.
I take it you got some support and
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I had
that's what I did.
something like, you know, I had almost 40 of these drawings that I had been, you know, sending them to friends. I mean, I expanded it, sending them to friends and family, and I saw that people were really using them. So I thought, you know, I've got to do more with this. I've got to pull it together. And I started, you know, examining my path, my struggles, my triumphs, what worked, what didn't work.
Right.
And I found that common actions that were attributable to many of the journeys that I took, even back to the days of being an art director and a talent agent.
Right.
And
these are things you can use over and over again because the words you have here are passion, action, believe, focus, simplify, persist, reflect, and begin again.
Begin again. It's an ongoing process.
Yes, it is.
And by really examining my path, I chose 8 of these designs to put together a step-by-step guide, and that's the basis of the book.
Right.
You know, idea poetry. This is the poetry, the drawings,
Right. Yes.
to guide your passionate pursuits.
Right.
And I will tell you that this step-by-step process works in your business life, in your personal life, whatever.
Relationships, whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Idea Poetry is the book, and they can get that on Amazon.
Amazon.
or at
BarnesandNoble.com and Balboa Press. I'm a self-published author, but I'm self-published through Balboa Press.
Right, which is Hay
So,
House,
Hay
if
House,
people don't
absolutely,
know, which
yeah.
is a wonderful entity that
Yes,
has all motivational,
yes, that's-
perfect fit for you. What I love is that you're starting to do some volunteer work that you shared with me, and I think every successful woman should be paying it forward. And I think
Absolutely,
there's nothing that comes back karma-wise more than helping other people. And I love that you associated with a group called Right Girl,
Right Girl,
which is
yeah.
spelled WRITE, which is,
Correct.
I think, very adorable. Right Girl. And so you go in this program. Goes into the schools and helps like inner city girls get an opportunity to learn writing.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that. In what capacity?
Sure. Well, it's kind of twofold. On weekends, they also offer workshops for girls. This is primarily teen girls, and there's like set locations, being at the Huntington Library or a bookstore, a local independent bookstore, and there's workshops on poetry, on songwriting, all kinds of things to help the girls learn how to do this writing. And they have guest speakers come in that are accomplished poets or accomplished songwriters, and then encourage them, give them tools and exercises to actually write. And for instance, the songwriting workshop, it's absolutely amazing. The actual songwriters then take some of the work that the girls wrote that day, and they actually will put together like a song and show their whole process on how they do it. It's amazing.
I love that.
And then another facet of the Right Girl program is that they go into schools in the inner city, really at-risk young women that maybe took a wrong turn in life, but give them an opportunity. And we go in and we do writing exercises with them, and then give them the opportunity to stand up and read their work.
I
we
love
help
that.
give them confidence and encouragement.
And who started that organization?
Her name is Karen Taylor. It's Karen, Keren, and she's an amazing woman.
And she was a writer in the industry, or what's her background?
Her background, really, I'm not 100% familiar with her background, but it's something, it was her grand passion and what she wanted to do.
And can people Google Right Girl and find them? Yeah,
absolutely. And they're always looking for volunteers.
Yeah. So I know the next step is you want to take this into more schools.
Correct.
Your 8-step program.
My book that describes the 8-step
Yeah.
the 8-step program to encourage these young women to pursue their dreams and think that it is possible.
Right.
And to also give them a guide so that they don't wake up in the morning and say, now what? I mean,
Right.
we've all been there where we go to a inspirational speaking event or listen to a podcast, and we're all pumped up. We leave, and the next morning we go, well, now what do I do?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You need some actual tools.
Yeah.
This is also what we're doing with 360 Karma is, providing people experts to help them, whatever it is, write their book or write their screenplay or do their TED Talk or whatever it is, because that is the one thing that gets in people's way of their dreams is they think, I don't know how to do this or I don't know how to do that. And we have to get women, we have to boost their confidence, their self-esteem, and teach them that we're here to help each other.
Yes.
And that we need to use each other's gifts to help each other.
Right.
And so if I'm not a social media person, then I should find someone who has that gift. If I'm not an author, I should find someone who has that gift so that I can then do my gift. And this is where the 360 Karma all comes in. It's us all helping each other help each other.
Yes,
Right?
And what I will tell people too is you never want to wake up in like 10 years and say, what if? What if I would have done that?
Right.
Because I had talked about pulling all my drawings, my illustrations together and putting them in a book for a long time.
Right.
And if I didn't do it,
Yes.
at some point I'd be saying, what if I would have done that?
And I know you said you want to leave this as a legacy, like something that
absolutely.
makes a difference that, and if it changes one person's life, well, then it's all worth it. And I'm sure it will
Absolutely.
change many people's lives, you know.
And then really by taking action on your own passion, you become the inspiration for someone else.
Right.
If she can do it, I can do
Right.
it.
And then when they benefit from it, wow, what a feeling that
Right.
is, right? I
Yeah.
know I feel that way with the conference, with workshops. It's like when people come back to you and say, wow, that really helped me have my aha moment, or
Right.
helped me to finally get off the dime and do this passion of mine or this dream of mine. Nothing is more fulfilling than inspiring
Right,
that.
right. Yeah. Encouraging
Yeah.
another person, you
Yeah.
just there's just nothing like it.
And I love what you're doing and what that program does with inner city kids, because I do believe people are born into a disadvantage, but we could all get together and help those that are disadvantaged have the same opportunities. Maybe they can't afford to go to Tony Robbins or Brendan Bouchard or whatever.
Right.
But there should be thought leaders that go into the inner cities and help those kids. Just like when we were growing up, they didn't have any of these tools that you're bringing to the school.
Right.
It was math and English and
Absolutely.
you know,
yeah. So
phys ed,
this is
whatever.
my gift, and so this is my way of giving it back.
I love that. I love that. So you're looking for schools, like if people teach at a school or work at a school, maybe they're a principal, you're looking to take your program, Idea Poetry, book and program,
Yeah.
into the schools, and they could contact you.
Oh, absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I've contacted a lot of people already, and that too is a process of persistence and everything.
Oh,
because
yeah.
because
I have no doubt that you'll do it.
They're busy, but
Yeah. You just got to follow this process.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And it's highbrowsing.com.
Highbrowsing.com is my website.
Yeah, so people
and-
can find the book and information about you or how to get in
Yes.
contact with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it sounds like you're leaving a great legacy.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Is there anything else on your radar that you want to do in this lifetime that you haven't done yet?
Well, right now this is my main focus, and who knows where it may lead. I'm thinking about doing a TED Talks about it, but
I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
That would make a great TED Talk.
Yeah, but I would
Yeah.
first really like to, make a difference with some of the young people.
You could definitely do a TED Talk on persistence and tenacity.
Right.
Yeah. And we need more women getting out there being tenacious and persistent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a good inspiration. What do you think about what's going on in the world today at large?
Well, I think this is a pretty scary time. I mean, just look what happened in San Bernardino. To hear that there was yet another shooting. I mean, it could happen anywhere. Let's face it.
Right.
It could happen to any one of us. But when
Right.
when it affects little families and little kids, that really hits home. And,
Right.
I think that it's just
A challenging
it's
time.
a challenging time.
I think the more we go into the schools and teach these kind of tools that help people focus on their gifts and how to manifest their dreams, the more happy children we'll be raising, the more productive they'll be, the happier they'll be, and we'll have less violence. If we could raise the children to get out of those doldrums of not having these opportunities, but realizing everyone has a choice. Everyone has these opportunities, given the tools, given this information.
given the right tools and
Right.
and-
So what you're doing is really important. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I love your idea poetry. I think it's very innovative and cool. You're a very smart, creative woman, and I appreciate what you're doing. Keep doing awesome work like this to help young people and people of all ages.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Marie. And we will be back next week with more great guests, Michelle Polino and Sonia Sebastian. Until then, make it a great day, make it a great week, and hugs and happiness.